It's time now for Media Watch. For that, we're joined as ever by James Creedon here in the studio, wound up and ready to go. And we're starting with Jean-Francois Copé's controversial victory in the battle to lead the UMP. The UMP, of course, the party of Nicolas Sarkozy, the party of strength, business, power, and it seems disunity at the moment.
That's right, Mark, and a lot of reaction in the papers today. It was a front page story because, of course, it took a while for the UMP to figure out who won.
It's kind of embarrassing, wasn't it, in a sense, the fact that they all started name-calling and throwing allegations of vote fraud and vote rigging, that kind of stuff?
Indeed, and actually what some of the papers have been doing is looking at the overseas reaction to this, and El País says it was one of the most crazy episodes in the Fifth Republic. That's they're taking it. They call Copé a populist, excuse me, and said that his discourse is sometimes xenophobic, and that he has noisy extremists amongst his supporters. So there you go, that's their taking it. For The Telegraph, they also call him an outsider and a populist, and they're critical of his anti-white racism discourse, thinking that that's a bit excessive.
Anti-white racism. This is the idea that white people are somehow being discriminated against within France. And, of course, there are big issues about the large Muslim population that it is here. And, of course, that was very much part of Sarkozy's era, wasn't it? The sort of the row over the burqa and other issues relating to Muslims.
Exactly. And that's what I suppose Copé has tried to pick up on and, perhaps poaching far-right votes, which has been a strategy of Sarkozy in the past as well. The Independent also critical, saying that his call for a French right without complexes, une droite décomplexée, as he says, is essentially a way of saying, look, we're going to go after the far-right vote, but we're not going to team up with them. So it could be very divisive, in fact, for the UMP party, because not everyone in the UMP feels that way, Fillon's supporters in particular. One anecdote on the whole thing today, Sarkozy, you were just mentioning it, Mark. Who rang who? There was a lot of speculation with that. You would expect Sarkozy to ring Copé and say, well done.
Because he backed him, didn't he, officially? He came out and said, we support his candidacy.
Yes, and what happened in the end was that Copé ended up ringing up Sarkozy, and then Sarkozy congratulated him, and Sarkozy's people released that to the press. They said, oh yes, Jean-Francois Copé did contact us, and at that point Sarkozy congratulated him. In other words, Sarko wasn't doing the phone calling, let the mountain come to Mohammed, so to speak.
It's like a date scenario, isn't it? Who called who, right, and who took who out, and who paid. And,
That's right. It's a bit of politicians are known to have egos, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Okay, let's move overseas. A video's been released showing a group of South African singers bringing aid to Norwegians. What's this about?
All right, it's kind of usually the other way around, isn't that? That's kind of the perception.
The perception is that money and aid is going into Africa to help people in poverty.
That's right. Sure. It's called Radi-Aid, as in radiators, and the poor Norwegians needing help. Now, it's a spoof on what we see here, which is, of course, the 1980s and Live Aid, and you had the Live Aid concerts in the UK, Wembley Stadium. You had Norwegians as well gathered around the piano here giving help to Norway. And a Norwegian aid group thinks that sometimes these things are a little bit simplistic, and essentially to draw attention to stereotypes about Africa, they got a group of South African musicians together to help out Norwegians. Let's take a look at a clip, Mark.
In Norway, kids are freezing. It's time for us to get this heat enough for Norway. If Africans would say,
yes, tongue firmly in cheek.
It's pretty cold in Paris as well. They could send us some radiators.
Okay.
It's chilly.
Okay, let's move on. I think that one was pretty self-explanatory, wasn't it? Okay. A Chinese grandfather is causing a stir on the web. He is modelling his granddaughter's clothes.
Yeah, this is
for teenage girls.
That's right. It's if they wanted
this sounds
attention,
weird.
If they wanted attention, they got it. Mark Liu Xianping. Here he is. I'll have to go onto this page. Actually, he's modelling his granddaughter's line of teenage girl clothing, and doing a very good job at looking curvaceous. And well, I'm not sure if he's curvaceous. He's got quite a pencily kind of look. And so there he is, looking weird. Let's just say it. And I think that was the idea. And there you go, wigs and all. And so he's become the belle of the Chinese web at 76 years of age.
James, thank you very much indeed. James Creedon with Media Watch.